This video explains how to select multiple columns from a Pandas DataFrame in the Python programming language. So without too much talk, let's dive into the Python code. In this video I will show you several examples, and for these examples we first need to load the Pandas library, as you can see in the first line of code. And then we also need to create an example data frame using the data frame constructor. So after running these lines of code, a new data frame is created, which is called data. And we can print this data frame below the code box using the print function. And then you can see that our data frame contains 5 rows and the 5 columns x1, x2, x3, x4 and x5. Now let's assume that we want to extract multiple columns from this data frame. Then we can use double square brackets, as you can see in the next line of code. And within the double square brackets, we have to specify the names of the columns that we want to select. So in this specific example, I want to extract the columns x1, x3 and x5, and I want to remove the columns x2 and x4. And then I'm storing the output of this in a new data frame object that I'm calling data new1, and I'm printing this new data frame below the code box. So after running these lines of code, you can see that we have created a subset of our data frame. And this subset contains only the columns x1, x3 and x5. Alternatively to the code in the third code box, we can also use the data frame constructor once again, as you can see in the next line of code. So in this line of code, I'm using the data frame constructor. Within the data frame constructor, I specify our input data frame. And then I specify the columns argument to be equal to a list of the column names that I want to extract. So as in the first example, I'm going to extract the columns x1, x3 and x5. And I'm storing the output of this in another data object that I call data new2. And I'm printing this new data frame below the code box. So after running the fourth code box, you can see that we have created exactly the same data frame as in the previous example. However, this time we have used the data frame constructor. In the first two examples, I have explained how to extract variables of a data frame based on the column names. However, it's also possible to extract columns based on their index positions in the data frame. And this is what I want to show you in the next example, in the fifth code box. So in this case, I'm using the iloc attribute. And within this attribute, I specify that I want to extract all rows. So for that reason, I'm specifying this column. And then after the comma, I specify the index positions of the columns that I want to return. And please note that Python starts to count indices from 0. So for that reason, the first column has the index position 0. The third column has the index position 2. And the fifth column has the index position 4. And then I'm storing the output of this in a new data frame object that I call data new3. And as in the previous examples, I'm printing this data frame below the code box. And then you can see that we have created once again the same data frame, but this time we have used the index positions of the columns. Another alternative, in case you want to select columns based on the index positions, is shown in the last code box. So in this case, I use the columns attribute of our data frame. And as in the previous example, I'm specifying the index position of the columns 0, 2 and 4. And I'm storing the output of this in another data frame object called data new4. And I print this data frame below the code box. And as you can see, this code also results in the same output as the previous examples. That's all I wanted to explain in this video. In case you want to learn more on this topic, you may check out my homepage, statisticsglobe.com, because on my homepage I have recently published a tutorial in which I'm explaining the content of this video in some more detail. I will put a link to this tutorial into the description of the video, so you can find it there. If you have liked this video or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments section below. I'll try to respond to all comments as soon as I can. Furthermore, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get notified about future video releases. I have already published about 500 videos on this channel, and I'm releasing new videos on a daily basis. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video.